Hola, ¿qué tal? Muy buenos días. Bienvenidos a este cuarto día de actividades de la extensión del Canvas. Para nosotros es muy grato poder estar aquí con una directora quien ha confiado en el festival desde el principio y de quien hemos presentado desde que surge Black Canvas en 2017 sus películas. En esa primera edición presentamos Hello Horse. Después tuvimos la posibilidad de presentar Spoon el año pasado, una película que está en el Festival de Cine de Karlovy Vary, y este año Laila Pakalnina nos honra con su película The First Bridge o el primer puente. Antes de darle la bienvenida, me gustaría leer una semblanza. Laila Pakalnina es una directora de Letonia, una de las grandes cineastas de este país, una cineasta que tiene en su filmografía más de 30 películas y es un honor poder estar aquí con ella esta mañana. Laila Pakalnina nació en 1962 en Letonia. En 1986 se graduó en el Departamento de Periodismo Televisivo de la Universidad de Moscú. Después continuó sus estudios en el Departamento de Dirección Cinematográfica en el Instituto Pansoviético de Cinematografía y se graduó en 1991. Laila es directora, guionista de más de 30 documentales, entre ellos cortos, largos y mediometrajes. Sus largometrajes más representativos son Silence, Stone, Fire, The Hostage, Water, The Pythons, The Shoe, Anna's Christmas, Theodore, The Boss, It Will Be Fine, Martins, entre muchos otros. Laila, welcome to this conversation. We are really pleased, and for us it's an honor to have you here in this conversation about the first bridge or about your work. I think I prefer to extend all this conversation to your whole work and your point of view and your vision as a human, as a filmmaker, with with your particular films and the treatment of the images. Laila Pakalnina, welcome to Black Canvas.
Muchas gracias. I will say in Latvian, labvakar, so good evening. You have morning, I have evening, 8 hours difference. So yeah, thank you for choosing my films. Thank you for watching them. Okay, let's try to talk about films. In fact, I'm a film director. I am I just make films. I'm not so much think what I'm making, but I can try. I'm not so much.
Okay, Laila, for Black Canvas and the free spirit of Black Canvas, it's really important to approach to this kind of filmmakers like you, filmmakers that can contemplate the world, can contemplate the human being, contemplate the arounds, contemplate life. Could you please talk about a little bit your first impressions in order to make cinema?
You mean
how you become a filmmaker? How do you how do you become a filmmaker and your first steps to taking a camera?
Okay. So when you read biographies of many film directors, they started to watch films very early, like they were in film theaters already from young age. But I was a bit opposite. When my father took me to film theater, I was 5 years or 4 years old. It was my first screening ever, but it was very terrible experience because it was black and white film, and I couldn't see like half of the screen because there were people in front of me, and my father was sleeping and snoring. So, and after this first experience, the next was like in many years when I was already a teenager. And then I started to watch films like mad. But talking about how it comes, I'm filmmaker. Like when I was in secondary school, I didn't know what to choose, what to do in my life. I even wrote with big letters on a wall of my room what I want to do. And in fact, there was no answer because I love to do different things. But it somehow happened that, I was watching films as well. And then there was one screening. People I was watching, I was so much in this film. And people starting to go out of the screening hall because they didn't like it. And during this screening, I understood this is something what I also want to make films, and I will make films in spite of people will go out of them. And so only after I understood that, so in years I understood that what I was watching was Stalker of Tarkovsky. So because in now everyone knows Tarkovsky, and he's like big like something like idol of cinema. But I grew up in Soviet Union where his films were screened in empty, in half empty screening, in half empty cinemas, in fact. So, and that's how it was just a regular screening. It was not like a cine club or something, not a festival, just a regular screening of film.
Yeah, so you become a filmmaker, or your roots become from your cinephile.
Yeah, we can say like this.
Yeah, which is really pure, I think. Becoming a filmmaker to cinephile, to other films, to filmmakers like Tarkovsky, and I think the time is one of your main themes in your films. And the next question is related with this kind of reflection to the past of time and the coexistence of things, of the immutable things in your films. Time apparently is still running, and the other things in the around still immutable. Can you talk a little bit about this, the time and the things that preserve there, immutable?
I think time, yes, time is one of time what we can fix in film. It is something what makes cinema very exceptional. What is why it is different from photography, why it is different from painting. It is different even from theater, from everything, because only cinema in this way, in audiovisual way, can fix time, and it is. I think it is very impressive, and this is something when I make films, I enjoy this feeling a lot.
Okay, and for how you feel the 90s when you became a filmmaker, and in comparison with nowadays? Do you think world changed a lot? It's maybe an obvious question, but maybe not, because time is no matters the time, but the impulses of the world change a lot.
Technically, of course, it changed because in 90s we were still filming on film. I was filming even my schoolworks on 35 millimeters, and technically, yes, it was different. But I think values of cinema, values of films, I think they stay like the same, even not from 90s, but earlier, like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. When we watch films from 60s, they're so contemporary films. They are so great films. I would say that values are the same. Of course, there are different challenges. Maybe what I start to feel more and more that there is this demand for commercial product instead of art, and this is like becoming like more and more demanding thing. But otherwise, I think values are the same. Language is still the same. I would rather say that language which was created by those great masters of cinema, starting from Méliès, Eisenstein. So we still use the same language. We even make, but the problem is that we don't make this language more rich, but we make it even more poor. So this is how I see problem of 21st century.
Okay, about the narrative of your films and the objects that you choose to film, could you tell us something about how you relate the narrative with the objects that you choose to film?
Yeah. In fact, when you say narrative, it's of course it exists, but I kind of try not to use story as literary story. Not to use, it's like building, like writing novel or writing story, or because if film can be written in a book, then let's print books. I try to use, and this is very important for me, to use composition, to use light, to use editing, to use all those elements which also can move film forward, which also can make dramaturgy of film. And over all this, of course, atmosphere, to try to make atmosphere in film. This is for me very important.
Yeah, your film, for me, I can feel your films with all my senses. Your films has a lot of an unusual poetry, calmness, and without a lot of things are occurring, are passing to this to the time, but without fanfare or that kind of distractors of conventional cinema. About First Bridge, I want to ask you a question. Why you choose this bridge who connects different parts of Europe?
It is not exactly connecting different parts of Europe. It's connecting different parts of one town. But in a way, it's again the same thing. It's like this feeling that we want to film exactly in this place came first, and then only came like a verbal explanation what we are going to do. Because at first I understood that I want to make film exactly in this place, because I just had this feeling that it is film. And then of course, we need to write projects to get some financing to make films. And unfortunately, I can't write this very simple explanation that please give me money. I feel that I'm going to make film. So I need to write something more. And then I just understood that it is the first bridge on our main river. Since this river is crossing border with Belarus. So, and that's why this title, The First Bridge.
Okay. How you choose each angle? It's more like an intuition. It's more like an instinctive glance. How you choose in the first bridge to put the camera in front a tree, or in front leaves, or in front the sun, or in front other perspectives, in order to put and give the importance to the the structuralism of the film?
So a very important thing to say that I'm not a cinematographer by myself. I'm a film director, and I work always with, I call them the best cinematographers. For the first bridge, cameraman is Gints Berziņš, a great cinematographer with whom I studied filmmaking already in Moscow. He was studying in camera department. I was studying in direction department. And where to put camera and how to put it's in, especially in documentary films, but in fact in films in general, it's always co-work with cinematographer, and for me it's very important to work together with Gints, and it's kind of easy to work with him because already from very first our films we have the same understanding what is film, because when we started to make our first documentaries, it was not even possible to me follow compositions on monitor. There was not such a technical tool, but I perfectly knew what and how he is filming. Concerning the first bridge, of course, so it's in the same direction how we normally usually film, but we created for ourselves a new rule, or we call it agricultural agricultural constructivism. It was a kind of joke, but at the same time, it was not joke. It was rule how to put camera, and it very much depend on our object, what we were shooting. So it's bridge, and it is something geometrical. And when you see something geometrical, of course you want to play with it. So, and that's why we kind of borrowed this direction in art called constructivism. So we started to play with different angles, and why we always put something in front, like branches of bushes or some other flowers or something. That's why we called it agricultural constructivism. And yeah, this is how we made it. And also, for us, it was necessary to have something in foreground because film, of course, is different from photography, and you need some. If there are no people going or cars going through the frame, then you need at least something moving, or it is water, or it is grass, so wind. Yeah, this is like a bit how we worked.
Okay. Yeah, in the case of movement, or in the case of the immutable objects, for you, how you approach when a character, it's a live character, right? Like a human being that you decide to film and follow him, or maybe looking at him, trying to see how can you profundize or going deeper with the characters, and the difference with the immutable object, which they are maybe still, but something it's happening around. The object is still, but it's alive in some ways, maybe on the around.
Yeah, it is like this, that all elements of composition, they are alive. So in fact, they are alive by themselves. They are like all nature is alive, but also what helps them to be alive is light, of course, then time. When you even like if you film house, it can change in 5 minutes. I'm not talking about years, but even 5 minutes can make a change. And one other thing as well, I again want to mention composition. Composition also make things alive.
Yeah. Laila, I want to introduce Pedro, which he will command the conversation right now,
Okay.
as we talked before. So talk to you really soon. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much for your generosity.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Laila.
Hi, Pedro.
Thanks so much. I know Claudio already said, thank you, Claudio, too. Claudio already, thank you so much, but we're really excited to having you here with us, like to sharing all your knowledge with your gigantic and important filmography. I think we have got the chance to exhibit your 3 previous films in blank canvas, like 3 consecutive years. You are the only filmmaker that has been repeating year after year, only with Eugene Green as well. So we are really proud that these 2 big names of the history of cinema are being able to show constantly with us. And I want to take from the question that Claudio was doing about, and you were expressing this about the relation with the landscape, that I think it's one of the most impressive things of your films, because it's extremely particular. It's not only, there's a whole process in there in the composition, for example, and that it's related with the contemplation that you are forced as a spectator, as a director, and as a human being to realize when you interact with your films. And I'm curious about if there's any process of scouting, let's say, like, and how you approach these spaces. In this case, the first bridge of the film, to talk particularly about it, but I think it's something that can relate with the rest of your films. Because I'm curious about how much time you spend in the spaces with your DOP, the Jints, sorry, and if there is any kind of exercises or something like that. Working, because the composition is so precise that it's not like, oh, let's put the camera here. So I guess that's a lot of process in there.
Of course, it's very much depend on film. But in general, for documentaries, we avoid to do scouting. We avoid, because when you go somewhere without tool, I mean, the same tool you are going to make this film, when you have just your phone with you, for example, to make, or photo camera to make pictures, then suddenly you see something what will never happen again, and then you just feel really sorry that you don't have camera with you. That's why I really avoid for documentaries to do scouting.
Yeah.
Even I prefer if we do like so-called development of a project or development of idea, that we already go to the place with the same tool, so the same camera, we are going to shoot later film, and then like try to understand how we will do already by collecting material for film. So and you said, is it like this? It can't be like this, that you go and let's put camera here and let's shoot. Yes, we do like this. We do it like very spontaneously, because in our films we very much depend on light, because the same composition in different, the same object in different light will look differently. I don't know, maybe in Mexico you have more like constant weather, but I think maybe not. Now you also have mountains and clouds, and it's not Greece when it is sun shining every day. So in Latvia, it's very changing weather. Even if like prediction is like sunny, every day is sunny, but the image depends even on one cloud. Sometimes you need the shadow, sometimes you don't need. Yeah, and also, so one is light, another is just it's like just something is happening, something always is happening, and it will never happen tomorrow. Tomorrow something will happen again, but there will be different things tomorrow.
Yeah,
so that's it.
It's about to be precise, no, and be lucky too, in a way.
Yeah.
And have, as Claudio mentioned, it's to have a good intuition, that I think is one of the great talents of a good documentary filmmaker. It's that it has to have a certain sixth sense, in a way, to be able to know what's gonna be the right moment to shoot. And for example, like you just mentioned, that for you the film, all the thing that transforms the objects or the shots are the lights, and it's one of the main elements of cinema, of course, as we know. But I read that you said too that all films are about time. So
yeah, they are about time, because films are you can't shoot without this without time. Film, that's one of important elements of dramaturgy, is time. Even stopped time is time. Even slow time is time. It is very important element. So it's, yeah.
And how did you work the time precisely with the things that you can do? Like, for example, this film is shot in film, like in Kodak. So it's really important, like, not let the whole camera roll, but to new in the moments of cuts. And it's, of course, that has to do with the editing room. And I would like to know a little bit about that process, about the length of the shots.
You know, in fact, even shooting digitally, we don't like roll camera for, we don't waste time. we select moments, and otherwise you just make your life much more harder in editing room. It's easier and it's even more fun to be selective already on, let's call it set. It's not a real set for documentaries, but it's yeah, it's set on, and it's also the part of this joy of making films. Of course, yeah, for shooting on film, you have film, and so this is not like something what will run for many hours. No, but in fact also digitally we do the same. We try to be selective, but at the same time, of course, we enjoy this moment of when you think nothing is happening, just you still need to wait a bit and something will happen.
Definitely. For example, I read that there's an anecdote involving time with this film in the first bridge, the one that we're showing, that they was shot in a Kodak that was bought in 1997, and it was discovered intact in 2018. Can you tell us a little bit what it's for you? What does that mean, or why it's so important to the relationship of the film?
Yeah, we found it was like quite strange that we found this 35 millimeter negative in our in house where we lived before, and it was not something somewhere very hidden. It was under the table. And what means a lot also technically, that it was not in fridge, it was just in room under the table for 21 years. It was there were remainings from negative from my first fiction film called The Shoe. And when we found this negative, we decided to make tests. Test, is it still possible to shoot on it? And we even decided that if there will be at least some possibility to shoot on it, okay, it's bad negative, but we will shoot on it. But it came out that it was a good quality negative, and we decided to shoot a film. It was not enough like for feature, and we decided to shoot short and not fiction, but documentary. And yeah, and for me, it was like this moment when you understand that there could be a film 21 year located under your, not exactly but under table, and then it is like you still can shoot on it. Then you understand how, I would even say, eternal is this is film. We don't know what will happen to, I think I have one here. No, I packed it already. I have this hard drive. We don't know what will happen in 21 years, but you see, you still can shoot and film.
Yeah, and wow, yeah. No, so in this way, it's a really personal anecdote, because it's like a closing well, not a closing a cycle, but it's like keep going to like reflect on your own filmography in a way with The Shoe. And
yeah.
no,
And it's also about time. It's about time.
of course, yeah. And now that we mentioned the shoes, and that was your first fiction, can you tell us a little bit about how you understand these two concepts, like documentary and fiction, and if you think that in a way relates, or how, for example, the shoe transform or make you change a little bit your vision about the creating documentaries? Because the shoe has a little bit of hybrid thing too. It gets a lot of feeding from the from your previous documentary style. So it's like
I don't know. Maybe we can compare the show with my previous documentaries, but I think the thing is that maybe we can compare because I work with the same people. I work with Gintz and I work with Andres Kranbergs as sound director in all my films, except a few. And this is how we can compare. But for me, this I graduated film school. I especially went for documentary film department for documentary direction, because I thought I never will make fictions, because why to make fictions that life is so interesting, and it is like this. But in one moment, not so long after graduation of film school, it was like 6 years after graduation of my of film school, I was already on the set of my first feature fiction. And it happened because I understood that, in fact, it is the same language. There are the same values for me in documentaries and in fictions. So why not to make fictions?
of course, no, there.
Something wrong?
Sorry, do you hear me, Laila? I think my internet is failing a bit.
I hear you.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm here. Sorry, really sorry to our
Oh.
audience and to you. I'm just my internet is failing a bit.
Yeah.
No, but now that we're visiting a little bit about your history process in a way, I would like to ask you. You study journalism before study cinema, and Moscow University. Do you think that this journalism information influence in your way of seeing cinema too, or your interest in cinema, or you think they are completely disconnected?
I think or you come from journalism, or you don't have from journalism. Of course, you need to be interested in life if you are making documentary films. But I think it has nothing to do with my studies. The very important thing, and this is also about fictions and documentaries. So when I understood, as someone who studied before journalism, when I think about films, I very much divide themes which are for journalism, which needs to go for television. And this is something what I'm in fact not touching. I want to make films which is only possible to make as film, which is not something for television. Television is not a bad thing for me, but if you want to make something hot and something important, you need to go for television. Because creation of film is not so fast. You need to reach your audience fast if you want to say something socially important. And the same is when I make fictions and documentaries. I very much understand what is fiction, so we stage things, and I don't need to stage in documentaries. I don't have elements of staging in my documentaries. I so much enjoy and prefer pure life in documentaries.
Pure life, it's the third time you mentioned it, the importance of being craving or wanting or in love with life in a way to be like an impulse to make cinema. And I would like to say something that, for example, I just read too that you were for creating your own language that it's really particular, and I would like to explore it because there's, for example, a lot of black and whites in there, like a lot of interest is in it. And as well, I read that you mentioned that there's an importance of a Stalker by Tarkovsky to influence you as a film or as a turning point in this moment when you were into journalism and you get your interest more into cinema. So, and just two questions that are there about the Tarkovsky presence and, of course, the black and white.
Mm-hmm. About Tarkovsky, maybe it could be any other great filmmaker whose film would be on my way. When I studied in film school, it was like a fashion thing to be in love with Tarkovsky. I was not trying to make those post-Tarkovsky films. But I can't. I think it was not like I didn't wanted to follow him at all. But it was, yeah. It just happens that it was like turning point for me. It could be any other name. It could be Godard, but when I studied in school, I couldn't see Godard, and so it's just it just happened. About black and white. Of course, it's not like a rule that every film must be black. My film black and white, but every idea already is coming in tonality. So or it is color, or it is black and white, or if it is color, then it is like already kind of what tonality of colors. But black and white, yes, I prefer black and white because from like there are different things what I like in black and white. Black and white somehow stimulates your fantasy of audience also. I think it's a good thing to make films for kids in black and white, because they can watch and create their own colors while watching. And this is what we are doing, in fact, like when we watch black and white films. Also, one thing for black and white, this life is so chaotic. Everything is chaotic around, and to organize it in a frame, it's with black and white. Black and white makes it more minimalistic, and it is easier to deal with things, with all objects, subjects, elements which are around. So that's why black and white.
Yeah,
also,
and
yeah.
tell me, no, sorry, because I did this. It was a tricky question, because now that you put something that I wanted to discuss, because life is really chaotic, but your formal aspects are really constrained, or really the formalistic. It's really strict in a way in the films. It's like a beautiful contrast in which this amorphous, unpredictable life comes to an order. And it's the Tarkovsky was there too, because I think he was a lot of staging, and I think your films has a lot of not normal staging, but a way of particular of seeing this life. And if you think that there's a contrast there, or it's like in this way of making an approximation to life, could be like the movement in contrast with the stillness, the color in contrast with the absence of color, and how this works with the, as you said, that you have to create the colors. This, for example, the first bridge, that probably for a Mexican audience has no context or no history, because no, I don't know how many Mexicans have been ever in this special bridge in Latvia. So like, but still you see the image, you see and you understand that there's a lot of energy there, that there is some idiosyncrasy present, that there are the things that emerge from our minds, not that you mentioned, because you said if you would be translated, we could write a book about the bridge. It's important to the image to be free.
Yeah, and this I like that what you mentioned, that like how to say, like story-wise, not Mexicans, not French people, not Americans, even not Russians, they don't have any connection to this bridge. And that is what and why I love film, because when you make film, this is language through which we understand each other in, and yeah, and this is without any explanations, and yeah, this is what I really love in film. But concerning how we make films concerning those this like stillness or movements, or this is of course we are fixing life in documentary, like when I say pure life, pure documentaries, but we are subjective through being selective, where to put camera, where to turn camera, how to make compositions. All this is our selection of what we are selecting.
And for example, now in the selective process, the sound, it's another level that you put in your films that really mentions the image, because you play a lot with it and it's really delicate. And can you talk a little bit about that process of creating the sound design of the films? How much you involve, or what your interest in it? Because
yeah, because if we would put in even don't know from where to start to talk about sound, but okay, if we are on the first bridge, I will tell about the first bridge, and in fact it's kind of related to all my films. When you our hearing is also very selective. We even don't think about how selective we are. Of course, if there is something loud like hammer, we will hear it. But if we go on the same street every day, we kind of already know what we will hear, and we don't hear every car, even if they are different. We don't hear all steps, and we are selective in real life. But when you put mic, even this mic with certain direction, it will record everything. It will be very, how to say, objective. But in films, I like to disconnect all those sounds and to try to organize them very subjectively. And for example, the first bridge, it sounds like very realistic, but it is very subjective. Because if we would put like real recording, it's I'm not talking about traffic, which is all around, but we are not in big town, but we are in town. And as soon as it is town, it always will go like, and we wanted avoid this town, and that's why we kind of created every for each shot like new sound, but also I can say that all those almost all sounds, all noises were recorded on the same location, but not at the same time when camera was working.
So it's again the time present, no? Like different levels of, it's different times converging in the same virtual space that you create on the screen.
Yeah.
With the ideas of the hybrid part of this, no? It's the fiction that you create on the sound in a way. And now I would like to make it's a really trivial question, but I think it's impossible to not play it in this kind of context in which we are now. I don't know how things are in Latvia with the pandemic world, but productions are going to change. In a way, your films could stay how they are because it's a short crew, you can wear masks, it's an absence of people present there. But do you think that this could help us to stop a little bit and reflect more on how we made cinema?
I don't know. It's very because it's I don't know what will happen with big productions and with huge productions. With my only hope is that people will not stay with their computers, but they will go to cinemas. They will go to cinemas as soon as it will be possible, because sooner or later this COVID will go away, and yeah, it can't be forever like this. And but I just my only worry, not only, but like my biggest worry is about audience. It's like maybe it's not the best thing to compare, but what usually those traffic organizers say that as soon as people start to drive their own cars, buy their own cars, it is very hard to tell them, forget about your car, go to like those very comfortable buses. It's like, and as soon as people will start to think that it is better to stay with your computer and not to go to cinemas. This is my only worry, because I prefer not only my films to be screened on big screen, but films in general.
Oh, of course.
But as for me, it's and all this pandemic, it's like very strange, but it was we were lucky, because in this moment when it was going down, we managed to shoot documentary, okay, with small crew, but we were entering many other people's homes. This film is called Homes. I'm working on it now, but shooting is finished, and after we done with shooting, this statistic started to go up, and I was very happy that people were not afraid, that they were allowing us to enter their homes. It's so homes, it's about homes, and we were traveling around Latvia. We were in different parts. We were in countryside, and we were in towns, in cities, and we were entering people's homes, and they allowed us to enter their homes. So this will be maybe my film with the most amount of human characters.
And the idea of homes came after you knew that the pandemic has started, or it was a previous kind of idea you had?
No, it was before. It was before. In fact, idea for homes started on the first bridge. It's like always, like there is saying that during marriage, new marriage is born. Yeah, some and it's with me. It's like sometimes during you suddenly found out idea, but you can't realize it in this particular film you are shooting now, because we were looking for different angles how to shoot this bridge, and one of ideas was to go to homes, to people's homes, ask them to go out, and as we would shoot from inside, them staying with the bridge in background. But of course it was not possible with our camera, with our film, which was not sensitive enough. But I liked this idea. I didn't want it to give up this idea, and it was, yeah. And now I'm happy it worked, and so
Yeah, no, but it's this idea I found
maybe hope you will select for next year.
Of course, we would like to keep up this tradition.
Yeah.
No, but I found beautiful that this energy that you have, this urge for life, it's always latent in every film. That one film makes another one alive, and it's gonna be like this. I guess that Holmes, it's gonna be another film will be born from questioning there something or wanting to know something else, because it's this want, a need or an urgency to relate with life, and cinema is the best way you manage to find, I think, to relate with the world around. And it's fantastic that you mentioned homes, like this film, that it's going to be in interiors, I guess, in this moment of the world, and how you know. Tell me.
Camera is in interior, but our
Okay.
but people, owners of the homes, yeah, they are outside. We are shooting from their window.
Okay, but see, you were prophetic.
From inside, yeah.
You made a prophecy of how we're gonna see the world from the last 8 months. And it's curious, for example, another filmmaker that I don't know if you relate with him, but I think there is aesthetically close, James Benning. He made a film in the pandemic, and the film is himself inside his house. And of course, like, he always wants to see landscapes, so he puts the screen in the film, and he's watching his own landscapes that have been shot before, like ironically, of course, playing with this. And now knowing you, that you're another filmmaker that explores the landscape, and how this, in a way, unconsciously probably, or probably predicting the future, you relate with the interiors. I found it like a really, like a light of hope, a glimpse of hope of how we're gonna still be looking outside and not constraining our vision to the interior.
Yeah, and that we will meet alive, not talking on Zoom.
Exactly. You know, it's really unfortunate that we will love you to have you here, because there's nothing like life and the warmth of a body next to, and a group of people in front of this, not in front all of our the one that's present here, just in front of a camera or our computers. But I will like to know if you want to say like something else, or want to share something to the Mexican audience before we will say goodbye. I wouldn't like to take your time anymore. You had been a lot of great. I can only show you gratitude because of your disposition, your disposal, your time with us to sharing these thoughts with our audience.
What I would love to say is not just that not just because I want to be polite, but I've been in Mexico only once. I've been to film festival, documentary film festival, and we also managed to travel a bit. We've been to Oaxaca, and but for me, it's such a filmic country. I think, wow, but not in meaning when I say filmic country, it's it's again not like beautiful landscapes. Yes, you have beautiful landscapes, but something where you just can make films like real films, and yeah, enjoy your country.
Thank you, Laila. We enjoy yours by your films because unfortunately I have never been there. But then I would like to close up with this question that just born into my mind with this idea that you mentioned. What will you define in you, like will be the point in which you know that something that you're seeing or something that you're imagining or something you are thinking, it's a filmic thing that it's valuable to shoot or worth?
You mean in general,
In
or
general?
in general?
No, in your films. No, in your methodology, I will say. What's the thing that gives you the urgency of shooting it?
Maybe again, my question, my answer would be very banal, but it's time. Because if you will not shoot it now, time will probably erase this, not always this object, but maybe erase this idea also. Because ideas, when they come, you just need to realize them. Or forget about them. They will be not alive in 10 years anymore. Maybe some, but not. And also, yes, times they are changing. Time is changing places, and it's good to catch this time.
Absolutely no, and thank you so much for allowing us to catch you in this precise moment, in this of the world of in your life, in your history, in our history of our fest. We're really proud and excited always to show your films because we believe that your particular gaze is unique. Like in almost 30 years of career, you have been really constant and always having this instinct that now I know what's the word that that can or the term that can define this film that were so mystic for me. It's this urgency of life in image, and I love to wanted to relate with the world. So personally, I would like to thank you for your films, and of course, in name of Black Canvas, for your time and patience to join us.
Gracias, muchas.
And
Or muchas gracias.
No, yeah, it's perfect.
Muchas gracias.
Yeah, I don't know how
Yeah.
it will be in Latvian.
Paldies.
Paldies. Okay.
Paldies.
Paldies.
So see you somehow in this world.
Yes, I hope we can meet, and our audience will be able to meet you soon, and hopefully we could keep the tradition with homes by next year. It's a deal.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a compromise.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Laila.
you.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.